Good afternoon, Facebook family. My name is Greg Yeasley. I'm a licensed marriage family therapist coming to you from Bakersfield Behavioral Healthcare Hospital. And today is our fifth talk. We're going to be talking about hobbies, new ones, not just the stuff you've been trying around the house while isolated, but some new ideas about what to do and how to get along with some activities. Google tells us that a hobby is, quote, an activity done in one's leisure time for pleasure, not professionally, and not for pay. This definition exudes moderation and relaxation. The key word here is the idea of leisure and pleasure. It makes me think of someone lazily watering around the garden on a sunny weekend in the shade with a glass of lemonade. In the Old English, way back when, there used to be this idea of what's called a hobby horse. Maybe as a child you used to play with them and you'd ride around on them, jumping around the house. In the Old French, the word meant a toy hobby, like a hobby horse, a small horse that was definitely meant for a child's play. This includes one's imagination in play, and I think that's the important key feature here on how we get along and deal with the world around us now and all the things that are our stuff as we're isolated in our homes. How can we imaginatively create things and do things? And as I say, if it captures your imagination, it meets my criteria anyway for something important for us to engage in. But somehow over the centuries, child's play has become an extreme and has taken on this perfectionistic quality around us that we really would be better off losing in most cases. Unless we intend to make money from the hobbies that we're doing around us, even the IRS gets into the picture with this and says it's not a hobby if you make money for 3 years in a row. And you can even deduct some hobby expenses up to the amount of the money that you make. But you got to see special IRS rules that apply. You might want to consult your tax advisor for details. However, what can we do in terms of creating this idea of understanding of hobbies and mental health, and how do we put that into practice? Remember our primary diagnosis of NPD, normal personality disorder? Just let's remember that most people struggle with things to do over time that use our imagination, create relaxation and leisure, and cause us a great deal of pleasure. It's contrary to the idea of some diagnoses in mental health like ADHD or OCD or anxiety disorders. Relaxation is an important part of this idea of finding hobbies, something that's leisure and done for pleasure. It's very hard to find because with these types of diagnoses, one tends to find something, often few things, that pique interest. And when it's there, they sometimes with these disorders latch on to something with such ferocity that they can't let go until the interest or the need is gone. And that kind of takes us for a little while of being able to not hold on to a hobby for a long period of time. It drops faster than a firecracker on fire. The key will always be that the truest definition of a great hobby is that which is positive, and it's positive to all that are involved in it. That is, everyone wins and no one loses. Is it for yourself? Is it for a couple? Is it for the family? Right? These are things that we need to be able to understand, and what is the benefit of doing this and really being able to understand that. The key is that the answer should always be yes, that everyone benefits. Hobbies are best if you approach them in this fashion. What would be the ideal in each of several life domains? Then determining the difference between the current situation and that ideal situation of what action is necessary to achieve that ideal. Imagine currently, like for gardening, for instance, growing roses versus a better garden for growing more roses. What's the difference? What actions are necessary to achieve this ideal? And do you have a clear idea of what your ideal hobby would be like? Please think about this for a moment. And then think about the answers to some of these questions in that ideal life area, what and where would you live with the ideal hobby? What would be your marital or family situation with your ideal hobby? What would your work be, and how would that support your hobby? What would be your proudest achievements for this hobby? What would specifically your work in recreational activities be? And how would other people think of you if you were doing this particular hobby? Let's see what would happen if you take a moment where you are today and where you want to be. In the situation of where would you live? Think about the situation where you're at now. Think about the ideal situation. What change is needed? What would your marital or family situation be? What's the situation now? And what would the ideal situation be? What change would be needed for that? Where would you work? What's your situation now? What's the ideal work situation? What change is needed? And what would be your proudest achievement? What's the situation now? What is your ideal situation? And what would change? What change would be needed? What would your specific work in recreational activities be? What's the situation now? What's your ideal situation? And what change is needed? How would other people think of you if you were to do this hobby? What's the situation now? What would be the ideal situation? And what change would be needed to achieve that? It's important to be able to understand how to get to where it is that you want to be. Using your imagination becomes really, really important in understanding how it can be and pursue that. Here's 12 hobbies for us as adults. The average retired American has 8 hours of leisure time every day. So how do you spend it? According to the Bureau of Labor and Statistics, we spend more than half of it watching TV. Research from the Bureau of Labor Statistics also found that older individuals ages 75 and over spend more time than any other age group, 8 hours a day, engaged also in leisure activity. Here's the breakdown: 4.5 hours watching TV, 1.1 hours in reading, 0.7 hours socializing, 0.7 hours relaxing and thinking, 0.5 hours playing games or using the computer for leisure, 0.2 hours sports, exercise, and recreation. If you're finding this time in your life a little more relaxing than you had hoped, check out some of these hobbies that you might try as an adult in this age range. Plant a garden. Learn to finish wood and fix up old pieces of furniture. Try your hand at bird watching. Take up photography with a group of friends. And with digital photography, you can do amazing things without big investments. Join a theater group and release your inner Hamlet. Learn to decorate cakes and become the cupcake queen, or take culinary classes offered at many community colleges and become the cooking king or the barbecue expert. Join a writer's group and try your hand at poetry or romance novels. Build model cars or try mass ships. Even if you can get those things in a bottle, that's even better. I think. Delve into your family history. Today, most libraries have extensive genealogy departments. Have fun turning those boxes of pictures that you've been storing back there in the old shed into some handsome scrapbooks for your children and your grandchildren to look at. Write down your memories. Add some photos and turn it into a keepsake book for your children. Learn to analyze handwriting. Become a detective. Take up ham radios. They're still used today. Correspond with a pen pal from exotic lands far away. Find international pen pals on Interpals on your computer. Mentor a child through Big Brothers or Big Sisters, or even adopt a pet. would be a great idea. Hobbies are food for the soul. They nurture our spirit, restore our physical energy, and they renew our minds. Hobbies can be stimulating. In fact, that they inspire those magical aha moments, just like that. While we think that hobbies can interfere with our career, research has found otherwise. A recent study suggests that people who engage in hobbies, especially creative hobbies, perform better at work. It seems that having an outlet outside of work can boost productivity and even our creativity itself. We are at our best when we are relaxed and in tune with ourselves. Only then can we truly thrive. So if you think hobbies are a waste of time, think again. If you're thinking you don't have time for hobbies because you just can't afford to take time away from work, even if you want to, then you probably need one, even more so than anyone else. Here's why. First, it can boost. When we engage in hobbies that we enjoy, we're able to connect from the everyday worries and boosts of our physical strength. We're able to disconnect, from the everyday worries and boost our physical strength. Hobbies and interest outside of work, any type of work, either in an office or at home, help counteract the emotional and physical exhaustion that comes with stress. By engaging in leisure activities that give us pleasure, we're able to recover from the demands of our busy, hectic lives. Hobbies can be therapeutic and help us reignite our spark. They have a way of calming our mind and allowing us to escape from the outside world to connect with ourselves, making us feel refreshed and even more empowered. When we have a passionate interest in life that helps us unwind, we become happier and consequently more successful in everything that we do. It also helps us absorb. Our hobbies say so much about who we are. When we pursue an activity just for its own sake, we absorb a lot about ourselves. Hobbies give us an insight into our likes and our dislikes, our strengths and our weaknesses, our fears and our beliefs. For instance, through meditation, I've learned how anxious my mind can be and how much it needs a soothing and peaceful break every now and then. Biking has taught me from a very early age that the more exhilarating the combination of adrenaline and the nature around me can be when I was young. Now that I'm older, I discovered cycles that have motors and a new hobby, which says a lot about my desire to see the outside world. As they say, if you want to know where your heart is, look to where your mind goes when it wanders. A hobby can help you discover a whole new side of you and unleash talents that you didn't even know you had. Lastly, viewpoint. Our hobbies give us a balanced viewpoint on life beyond work. They show us how important it is to take time for ourselves and rejuvenate our mind and spirit. When our responsibilities become overwhelming, our hobbies give us something to look forward to. By disengaging from the pressures of life, not only are we revitalizing, but we get to see the big picture. Instead of focusing on the trees, we're able to appreciate the forest. Plus, you never know where a hobby may lead you. New and interesting people, the time of your life, and maybe even a whole new lifestyle. Till then, take care. Remember, we are all in this together, and we are all alone together.